There is something new every day. The future feels so unpredictable. Where could we be in 15 years? Our playgrounds may change. Learning may not need classrooms. Robots might help us meet time for more important things. Will virtual life be our new social life? Coming? Don't worry about what the future will look like. Just prepare for it. Fearless plans from Aegis Federal Life Insurance help you and your family prepare for the future.
IPL time, and the architect of the IPL joins me for this very special interview. I watched your Instagram post, Lalit Modi, and clearly it's an emotional thing for you with the start of the IPL season 16. So the first question, what does this tournament mean to you? And secondly, do you think the tournament now needs innovation? Or if you were still running the tournament, what would those innovations be?
First of all, it's season 17 now, Boreas. We already had 16. We moved to season 17 now. I think the IPL has grown so big now, and it's amazing that it was amazing to see yesterday the fans enjoying themselves. It was a great game. Still nobody knows which team's going to win. But in terms of innovation, I think innovation on the field is difficult. With the format so well established, I think they've done a lot. Innovation can only be around the fans and nothing more. But I think the BCCI has done a tremendous job, I must say, of building infrastructure, which was my question all the time. And new infrastructure are being built and are being planned, and along with the government, new stadiums are being put up across the world. That is what is going to change the fortunes of the game even further. And in places like Varanasi, etc., where there would never have been conceived to be IPL matches. So you will see IPL matches in the future being played in various venues. I mean, I would see more and more teams playing in two venues, which was started in year one with Dharamshala coming in earlier. And then year three, some of the matches moving from Jaipur to Ahmedabad. And then over the years, you saw more and more Odisha coming in, and Madhya Pradesh coming in, Raipur coming in, and I think that is only going to be great for the game. What innovation can be done is, like I mentioned a few months ago, is that if the BCCI were to look at a secondary league now, I think the time is ripe to look at a secondary league for secondary cities. Unfortunately,
would you advocate relegation of maybe the last two teams, relegation promotion, or no?
That unfortunately is not possible because the current BCCI the contracts with the IPL franchisees doesn't allow relegation of these teams down, because they were never envisaged to be. It would hurt their bottom line. But what could happen is that instead of expanding to two more IPL franchises in the future, is that you have two teams of the secondary league coming into the IPL. That could be a possibility only, and then they change every year going forward. Or they have a window in October, which was the Champions League window. They could do a knockout tournament there and have the secondary league teams come there. In that secondary tournament, there could be a knockout. There could be a relegation and an upgradation from the IPL. But from the IPL main season, that would be very difficult to do because the contracts are such that each team gets equal payment. Yeah. There is no provision for. Unfortunately, there was no provision at that point in time for a secondary league, and we didn't take that into account, and we didn't put that into contracts. So these are lifelong contracts. But I think overall, the BCCI has done an amazing job. And if you look at it, the surprising facts that I see today, in year one, we had big reliance on foreign players. I mean, the IPL we knew in our hearts that over a period of time, Indian players are going to be the key, and which is the case today. Majority of the players, the best players in the teams are Indian. But if you look at it, they were average of 7.5 to on the bench and 4 on the field in year one and all the way through pretty much. I was pleasantly surprised to see the statistics yesterday where there are 216 Indian players in 10 teams and there are only 30 foreign players in 10 teams. That makes it an average of 3 total, including on the bench. So that was a very shocking, unless I'm wrong. And that's the number I saw, that there are only 30 foreign players.
There are actually more foreign players, but I take the point, Lalit, completely, and you're right there. At an average, 4 players are still the norm, but what is absolutely true is Indian players are winning you the league. Indian players are making the difference. No question.
And they're getting the fan base, and we don't have to rely on, to get 4 foreign players on the field, you need to have at least 7 or 8 on the bench total. We're not seeing that effect right now. You're not seeing 70, 80 players in a 10-team format of foreign players, or are there 70, 80 foreign players?
Yeah, there are. But the point that I just want to go a little bit more in depth, I think you're absolutely spot on again, where you say the BCCI has done an amazing job in democratizing the tournament and taking it to tier 2, tier 3 cities. This is the only pan-Indian sports festival where people are integrated, the fan is integrated. Can you talk to me a little bit more about that? That actually all of India has now become a part of the IPL.
Which has, and amazing that even in some places where there are no matches, they have the fan zones, and actively promoted by the IPL governing body, which is great, which is absolutely amazing for the sport. So I think for the first time, I can tell you sitting here today that the management of the BCCI and the IPL are the right people to run this place, and they are doing the right job. I think the newer members that have come in have very quickly adapted to what they inherited, and under the leadership of the new team, they are actually moving very, very quick. They don't have IMG anymore. They're running the tournament themselves, which shows that we have built the talent base, which is always going to be the case. And today we can stand on our own feet, and we are a global phenomena today. It's not only that we are the icon company of any kind in India for any product going forward. I mean, it is the most talked about company globally, and as a sporting league, we're the highest viewed league in the world, second only in terms of monetary, in terms of to the NFL, which itself is a great feat to have achieved, and being up there. Everybody talks about it.
The other point that I want to talk about is, Lalit, think about the fans. I mean, you've always said spoken about the fans. When the IPL started, obviously there was no fan base because these teams were made from scratch under you and your tenure. But now when I see a Manchester United, I see a Manchester City, I see a Real Madrid and their fan base, and then I see a Chennai Super Kings, a Royal Challengers Bangalore, a Mumbai Indians, a Kolkata Knight Riders. They have as big a fan base as any of these established clubs of 100-year-old. That gives me an enormous amount of satisfaction when I see that in the IPL. Your thoughts?
That's amazing. I mean, you see the stadiums all yellow or blue or purple or red, which was my dream, and this is the best part. This shows that the fan is really engaged with the product and loves the game itself, and it's only going to go bigger and bigger and bigger. With our population of close to 1.4, 1.5 billion people, we are the largest population in the world. I mean, compared to a Manchester United number of fans, Mumbai Indians would be far in excess in number of fans than anybody else, I would think, today and globally. And you will see these teams. I was still looking at their bottom line numbers in terms of merchandising. It's very, very small. The teams now need to innovate, more so, not the BCCI, but the teams need to innovate in their merchandising and need to collectively get together of retailing it or getting it across to the fan base. Everybody is doing their own program. Fine, they're learning through it over a period of time, but it's come to a point where they should be collectively talking of having an IPL store franchise out because those are the rights of the franchisee, of the team owners. So the team owners can actually get together and say, okay, we will now fund the operation of franchise of the stores. Secondly, also what could be interesting is most of the people are still selling the tickets separately. Is to combine the ticketing. Again, that is the issue regarding with the team owners. That will allow people across the country and not only concentrated in Calcutta or Bombay or where they each are selling to the and democratize that also, and maybe allow that to be spread across like it has in the sports overseas. That could be a big game changer in terms of audiences, people traveling, and accessing tickets, etc. Going forward.
I remember you telling me about the second season when you had to relocate the IPL because of the elections. This year, the BCCI has already said that they will not relocate and it will be played in India. Do you think it's a challenge because you're up against the biggest democratic festival in terms of the elections, and this home and away format will be difficult because of the elections? But then it speaks volumes about the robustness of the IPL brand, that even with the elections, you're going ahead with the tournament, knowing that you have the kind of brand support and fan support and economic support. So what does that tell you about the IPL brand?
It shows that IPL has made its presence in here, and also it shows the maturity of the government, because they realize also that moving the tournament away would be in some way helpful to them, but it's not going to be helpful to them. It has no impact on that, because yes, in a particular state where voting is taking place on a particular day, there may be some impact at that point in time, and so they can reschedule a little bit here or there, but they have the flexibility to do that because it's an all India tournament, and luckily there are not any dates that are in all states all time every day, and so there is flexibility. Yes, but it's come of age, and now nobody needs to be afraid that the IPL will ever move out of the country because of election, and because somebody is afraid of the IPL or IPL is afraid of the election, one way or the other around, and that shows maturity, and it also shows that the game has reached a pinnacle, and that the fan base would hurt the fan base more than anybody else, and nobody wants to hurt the fan base, especially in election year. Right? It goes two ways, and the fans are very, very adamant and have strong feelings, and they've grown much bigger than we had in year two.
Lalit, am I right in saying that the IPL is a bigger brand than the World Cup because every night India wins? That whether it's RCB and CSK, at the end of the day, India wins. Dhoni, Kohli, who knows? Whoever wins, India wins. Unfortunately, in the World Cup, we don't know. And whoever puts in money is a bit of a risk, because if India loses early or if India loses in the semi-final, the brand tanks. Am I right in saying that this is the only tournament which is a safe investment for every sponsor?
Without doubt, there is no two ways about it. Whether it's bilateral cricket or it's any other form of cricket, or whether it's the World Cup, they're all second. They will never meet the capacity or the fan base or the quality or the production values or the quality of the player value and definitely the fan value that the IPL garners today. The collective IPL fan value is huge. Of course, you can't take away the fact that when India reaches the final, the whole country unites together. But again, as you said, that is if and when we do reach the final. It's a long step. I mean, we went to the final with Australia and we still lost in the last World Cup at the one days out there. But I think people are looking forward to the next World Cup in the West Indies and United States of America. I think it's going to be something unique, but I don't think the American market is ready or will be ready in the future for a league.
Why do you say so?
It's a very small market. It's very difficult for a market to penetrate that market unless you have a grassroots program. And the grassroots program needs to start with schools and colleges. You can't just say that you're going to send foreign players to go out there and play and garner a base of fans. It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. The West Indies has a strong culture of cricket. So you see the CPL booming. And it doesn't depend on Indian players. That's what I've said. All these international leagues need to depend on themselves and not on India. And they are booming. And today it is quite successful. South Africa had a tremendous season, I saw. It was very delightful to watch the matches of the South African Premier League. So the Big Bash has been going on for a long time and has established. On the other hand, the 100 is floundering. I mean, it's shocking, absolutely shocking to see the auction that took place last week. That the highest paid player in the English 100s was £125,000. Now, that would be probably the lowest paid player in the IPL of any kind. I mean, and in an auction, £125,000. And so So England has still to get its act together and find a solution to the 100, because they deviated from the T20 format. They deviated from the fact that they didn't bring in private ownership in the beginning. They still continue to go down the path of pleasing all 18 counties. Of course, you can please all 18 counties through a revenue mechanism. You don't have to all 18 playing the game in one place. We have a 31 state associations in India. The state associations have nothing to do with the IPL. What they do have is they get equal revenue at the end of the day from the BCCI, what's paid out. But matches are played depending upon where the population wants it and where the fan base is, and where there is infrastructure available.
I was reading in the newspapers, Lalit, that you were interested in sort of taking over the 100 and revamping it and giving it a new shape, a new vision, a new form. I tried reaching out to you at that point. Unfortunately, we couldn't connect. What is the story there? Are you interested in getting involved? I mean, I know you're laughing, but what's the story there? Give me something. What's your take on the 100?
I'd be very much interested in getting involved, and I'd be happy to put a big number also on the table to take it forward. But the chances of that happening are remote right now, because the English Cricket Board may not want to give up total control. But I wouldn't want to do something where there is 100 and there is the other tournament that goes on. The county, it's too crowded. They need to scrap it. It has to be totally brand new thinking. It can't be that it's just a revamp. A revamp won't work. In this kind of a business, either you're successful on day one or you're not. If you think that you're going to be successful down the line, forget it. I think the Middle East League is in trouble. The American League is in trouble. Why? They have no base. They have no base to come from. That means these countries primarily weren't cricketing countries. They don't have academies. They don't have a school program. They don't have a college program. They don't have a professional program. And they just thought that because IPL had gone there in the past and they had some expatriate population, that it'll make it work. It doesn't work that way. It may work for a season, but that is because of the traveling population, not because of the local population. Unless you are able to instill and bring out the enthusiasm and the affection from the locals, and that will only come if you have local stars and not international stars coming in there. So England will work only with English players, not with international. I mean, you can have few international players like the IPL 4 on the field, but majority of the players need to be local. And that's what it is. Coming back to this issue, if you don't do that, India is the only country today where the players are rested. And the rest, we play 121 days of cricket a year. And that's the mandate of players, of number of days a player should be playing globally, any kind of cricket. And that's a study I did 2009 for the ICC also at that point in time, and 2010, that it should be about 100, 121 days that a player should maximum play any format of the game. But if you look, some of the players today who are just making money want to encash, and I don't blame them because they have a short lifespan, want to make the most of it, and they're going from tournament to tournament to tournament.
Yeah.
And they're going in wherever. And some countries limit them, but majority of the countries don't. India, we did a great job of making sure that our players don't go offshore. And we did it for this reason primarily, because we played domestic cricket, we play international cricket, we have bilateral cricket, we have the ICC cricket on top of that. So we have to take into account all the number of days that the players will be available. And this is something that is going to come and haunt a lot of players going forward in the world, because that will lead to injury and that will lead to many other issues of their availability for the country, or for the county, or for the state, or for the private team ownership.
Last two questions. One, your take on the inclusion of cricket in LA. I mean, do you think that will give the US cricket base a big fillip? You reckon that can happen? The inclusion
I don't think so. I really don't think so. What it can happen is that it'll take a few years. It's a great thing to do to Egypt in the Olympics, but it'll take time to get there. It'll move that, because again, there is no infrastructure in the United States. I mean, if that tournament, if the Olympics were in Europe and was in England and Australia, or one of the cricket countries, and you were to launch it at that point in time, you would have seen a takeoff like this completely. But to see launching it in the United States, I'm very, very skeptical. To launch in the United States, you must have 6-7 stadiums at least to host the World Cup. And they were thinking of even digressing from a T20 or a one-day format to a T10 format is what I'm hearing in the news. That would be a disaster completely, because that's not a format that is played by the international boards at all. It is just, I call it a fanciful tournament that is out there. It's not a mainstream tournament. And so it would be, we have to still see what the Olympic Committee is deciding to do with it and how the member boards react to it. But I think it will be a big mistake to do a T10 tournament in the Olympics. And also, unless they have infrastructure, it is highly, highly unlikely that it will be a dent. What is going to be a dent is the India-Pakistan game in New York.
You think that'll sort of make an impact?
It will make an impact now, not for the domestic cricket. It'll bring. There are enough expatriates available. It's for the expatriate population primarily. It's not going to be. If you look at the ticket sales, and I can guarantee you haven't seen the numbers yet. We don't know what the numbers are. You'll see majority of them will be from the Commonwealth areas that will be buying the tickets. It's primarily Indians and Pakistan will be rushing to buy the tickets at huge premium. And those people are not concerned with the American League or XYZ. They have got a home team, which is Pakistan or India or one of the other teams. And they rather follow the IPL or any of the other formats around the world, whether it's Big Bash or South African leagues.
Last question coming back to the IPL again. I mean, when I see the kind of emotion for a Dhoni, I see for a Kohli, I see for a Gautam Gambhir, I see for a Shah Rukh Khan, and it all of a sudden sort of tells me that this is our only global sports brand. Having created it, how do you look back? When you watch these games, first couple of days, first 3 days, how do you look back? Do you miss being here?
Of course, I miss being there, but I enjoy the games very much every day, wherever I am. I wouldn't miss them. I'm in Austria right now, and it's not available on broadcast. We finally found a way to have a VPN, stream it through a VPN. It took a long time to set it up. It took a few days to get it right, but we were able to watch the matches. I'm looking forward to getting back to England and watching the matches.
Thank you very, very much, Lalit Modi. My takeaway, you've commended the BCCI for what they've done. You've said they're doing an extraordinary job in taking it to tier 2, tier 3, making it a democratic phenomenon. You've expressed your apprehensions about the inclusion of cricket in the Olympics. You've also said that the 100 isn't working, a complete departure, and you've sort of said you are interested if they allow you to do that. As always, fascinating talking to you and picking your brains on it. Thank you very, very much for your time. I miss the Austrian desserts. At some point in time, we'll catch up and have the talk.
I look forward. Thank you, Boria. Look forward. Take care. Thank you.